Greetings, everyone. The worthy name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Marty Ellet here at Grace and Truth Fellowship on 2nd and C Street in Brawley, and we are open for a meeting. So, a lot of people, this is, of course, the first Sunday in 2021. So, a lot of people are really glad to see 2020 go. But what does 2021 hold? Well, I've got good news and I've got bad news. The good news is 2021 could be the best year you've ever had in your life. The bad news is 2021 could be the worst year you've ever had in your life. And so I'm going to show you just a few things, just one subject today. There's a few subjects, that would line up behind this that we might have a chance to cover in the future, but just one subject today. And then we'll end with that, but go on to maybe something else another day. So I'm going to turn to Genesis chapter 27. We're going to end up reading about the whole chapter of Genesis 27, and just a little background. Abraham, the father of faith, for the Jews and the Christians, and even the Muslims claim Abraham, right, as their father, right? And so Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You've heard that probably referred to over and over in the Bible, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Isaac is the only, well, not the only son, he had Ishmael, but the son of promise was Isaac. Abraham had Isaac when he was 100 years old. Isaac had two sons, Jacob and Esau, and when they were born, twins in the womb. And so Jacob, I think it was Esau that stuck his leg out first, and the midwife put a red scarlet or thread on his, and he pulled his leg back in. Then the other one came out, and she called him breech. But nevertheless, Jacob, his name means supplanter, because he was basically fighting with his brother in the womb to come out first. And so goes the story, and that's what we're going to look at. And then Esau comes along. So Esau is a man's man. He's a hunter, works and lives outdoors, man's man. Jacob is the soft guy. He's more like mama's boy, and he's, cooks and, spends time indoors. And so Jacob is, Rebecca is the mom. Rebecca is Isaac's wife, and Rebecca's favorite is Jacob. Isaac's favorite is Esau. We're going to start there. Chapter 27 of Genesis, verse 1. One day when Isaac was old and turning blind, he called for Esau, his older son, and said, "My son." "Yes, father," Esau replied. "I'm old now," Isaac said, "and I don't know when I may die. Take your bow and quiver full of arrows and go out into the open country to hunt some wild game for me. Prepare my favorite dish and bring it here for me to eat. Then I will pronounce the blessing," because he's the elder son. "I'll pronounce the blessing that belongs to you, my firstborn son, before I die." But Rebekah overheard what Isaac had said to his son Esau. So when Esau left to hunt for the wild game, she said to her son Jacob, "Listen, I overheard your father say to Esau, 'Bring me some wild game and prepare me a delicious meal. Then I will bless you in the Lord's presence before I die.'" So this is a big deal. This is a divine appointment they're going to have. It's time for the father's blessing. "Now," she says, "now, my son, listen to me. Do exactly as I tell you. Go out to the flocks and bring me 2 fine young goats, and I'll use them to prepare your father's favorite dish. Then take the food to your father so he can eat it and bless you before he dies." "But look," Jacob replied to Rebekah, my brother Esau is a hairy man. My skin is smooth. What if my father touches me? He'll see that I'm trying to trick him, and then he'll curse me instead of blessing me." But his mother replied, "Then let the curse fall on me, my son. Just do what I tell you. Go out and get the goats for me." So Jacob went out, got the young goats, And his mother Rebekah took them and prepared a delicious meal just the way Isaac liked it. Then she took Esau's favorite clothes, which were in the house, and gave them to her younger son Jacob. So he covered his arms, the smooth part and of his neck, with the skin of the young goats. Then she gave Jacob the delicious meal, including freshly baked bread. So Jacob took the food to his father. "My father," he said. "Yes, my son," Isaac answered. "Who are you?" Who are you, Esau or Jacob?" Jacob replies, "It's Esau, your firstborn son. I've done as you've told me. Here's the wild game. Now sit up and eat it so you can give me your blessing." Isaac asked, "How did you find it so quickly, my son?" "The Lord your God put it in my path," Jacob replied. Then Isaac said to Jacob, "Come closer so I can touch you. Make sure that you're really Esau." He had some doubts. You will see this. So Jacob went close to his father, and Isaac touched him. He says, "The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's," Isaac said. But he did not recognize Jacob because Jacob's hands felt hairy, just like Esau's. So Isaac prepared to bless Jacob. "But are you really my son Esau?" he asked. "Yes, I am," Jacob replied. Then Isaac said, "Now, my son, bring me the wild game and let me eat it, and then I will give you my blessing." So Jacob took the food to his father, and Isaac ate it, and he also drank of the wine that Jacob served him. Then, one more thing, then Isaac said to Jacob, "Please come a little closer and kiss me, my son." So he's still not sure this is Esau, and it's not. So Jacob went over and kissed him, and Isaac caught the smell of his clothes. He finally was convinced and blessed his son. He said, "Ah, the smell of my son is like the smell of the outdoors, which the Lord has blessed. From the dew of heaven and the riches," this is the blessing, "from the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth, may God always give you abundant harvest of grain and bountiful new wine. May many nations become your servants, and may they bow down to you. May you be the master over your brothers, and may your mother's sons bow down to you." Get this, last line, punchline. All who curse you will be cursed. All who bless you will be blessed. This is a divine intervention. This is a divine blessing from God to Isaac to Jacob. Isaac thought it was Esau, his firstborn, but it's not. It's the supplanter. His name means supplanter. So it's done. He gave him his blessing. And the kicker is, all who curse you will be cursed. All who bless you will be blessed. So, verse 30. As soon as Isaac had finished blessing Jacob, and almost before Jacob had left his father, Esau returned from his hunt. Esau prepared the delicious meal, brought it to his father. Then he said, "Sit up, my father, and eat my wild game, so you can give me your blessing." But Isaac asked him, "Who are you?" Esau replied, "It's your son, your firstborn, Esau." Isaac began to tremble uncontrollably and said, "Then who just served me wild game? I've already eaten it, and I blessed him just before you came. And yes, that blessing must stand." Verse 34. When Esau heard his father's words, he let out a loud and bitter cry. "Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too," he begged. But Isaac said, "Your brother was here, and he tricked me and has taken away your blessing." Esau exclaimed, "No wonder his name is Jacob. Supplanter, heel catcher, schemer, a cunning scam artist, thief." That's what Jacob means. And if you know the story well enough, you know later on when Jacob wrestles with the angel of the Lord, a Christophany, the Lord finally asks him at the end of their wrestling match, And Jacob won't let go of him. He says, what is your name? And Jacob finally says, heel catcher, supplanter, schemer, conniver, scam artist. That's my name. And then the story changes for him. But right now, this is Esau. Esau is saying, no wonder his name is Jacob, that thief. For now he has cheated me twice. First, he took my rights as the firstborn. Let's see now. That's a little bit twisted because, as I recall, you can read it yourself, that Esau sold his birthright to Jacob for a bowl of soup when he was really hungry. And Jacob was there cooking away and had this wonderful red soup, and he gave it, he said he would sell him the soup for his birthright. Esau really didn't care that much about his birthright and the blessing that came with that and the responsibilities that came with that. And so he said, well, what's that to me if I die? Give me the soup. I'll sell you my birthright. So for now, he's cheated me twice. First, he took my rights as the firstborn, and now he's stolen my blessing. Oh, have you saved even one blessing for me? Isaac said to Esau, Isaac the father said to Esau the son, I have made Jacob your master and have declared that all his brothers will be his servants. I've guaranteed him an abundance of grain and wine. What is left for me to give you, my son? Esau pleaded, but do you have only one blessing? Oh, my father, bless me too, bless me. Then Esau broke down and wept. Finally, his father Isaac said to him, you will live away from the riches of the earth. This is just the opposite of what he gave the first blessing to Jacob. Jacob was going to be blessed abundantly. Now Esau, you will live away from the riches of the earth and away from the dew of the heaven above. You will live by the sword. No peace, fighting always. And you will serve your brother. This is not good news. Now this is the pivotal verse. But is the beginning of the next verse. This is the pivotal verse that I'm going to get to today. We're going to spend a little time with this and be done. And we'll maybe look at some other things later, but this is the pivotal verse. There's some incredible buts in the Bible. Howevers, butology, some people call it. The most famous but, or however, is in Ephesians chapter 2. But God, who is rich in mercy, wherewith he loved us, sinners, dead in our trespasses and sin. But God. It's a pivotal moment as to explain how God has treated us in spite of what we deserve. So this is at the end. This is a big but right here. This is his blessing is not good. And then you'll live by the sword. You'll serve your brother. And then get this. But when you decide to break free, you will shake his yoke from your neck. In other words, there are a lot of people who are victims in this life. Everything that happens to them is always someone else's fault. It's their fault or his fault or her fault. It's always someone else's fault for their circumstances and even their choices. There's another portion in the Bible that I won't take time to read to you, but I'll just paraphrase it. It's basically people make their bad choices and then they're angry at God for the results of their choices. They make bad choices and then they're angry at God. They blame God. And that is what victims basically do. Behind this complaining and saying it's always somebody else's, never take responsibility, always somebody else's choice, always somebody else's fault. But you can always blame somebody else for your circumstances. Behind that is, way behind that, they don't think this maybe really, they don't say this out loud, but really behind it is, it's your fault, God. You've made this happen to me. and it's not fair. And you should have talked to me first about this situation, because I would have, you didn't do right here. So that's what it is. And that's what victims are. And his father's godly advice to him is, when you get tired enough of being the victim, when you get tired enough of blaming other people, when you are fed up with cursing, always complaining and cursing people, cursing others, cursing God, I'll bet you right now there are people in your life that come to mind when I say that. You see, we build up resentments against people, and we don't want to forgive them for what they've done. And I want you to know that in the Bible, in Jesus' words, forgiveness is not optional. It is indeed mandatory. It is mandatory. It is mandatory. If you want to follow Jesus, and if you want to be in a position that God can open up the heavens and bless you, forgiveness is mandatory. Resentments will close the heavens. You're going to have a brass heaven, brass ceiling. Your prayers are going to bounce right off the brass ceiling. Now, I know that you all have someone in your life. Well, I shouldn't say all, but you know, if I say, who is it that you resent in your life? Immediately, you know exactly who comes to your mind. Immediately. You don't have to think, oh, was it this person, that person? Nothing like that. They immediately come to your mind, and you know it. You know who that is. And I'm telling you, this verse is pivotal about your future, whether it's 2021 or any other time in your life. This is pivotal about making a difference in your life. I just want to end the verse, and we might. I'll say a few more things, but I just want to end the verse. The next verse says, "From that time on, Esau hated Jacob, and that hatred, and that bitterness, and that resentment was nothing to Jacob. Now Jacob ran, he fled. He knew that Esau would have killed him if he got a chance. So he took off and went to live with his uncle Laban, which is another story. And then Esau, hating his brother, wanting to get back at his brother. This is like a cancer. This is like drinking poison and expecting someone else to die. This unforgiveness, even if it's something that you had no control over, like Esau. No control over this. And it's still so unfair. Some of you, and when you're around those people, they drain you. And you don't want to be around them. And I can hear you saying right now, well, I'm married to one. I mean, I can hear that. I can hear you saying that right now. Until those people, you, me, all of us, get reminded of this. We need to be reminded of this constantly. Realize that we need to be thankful, forgiving, stay on top of this, and live in the land of blessing instead of cursing. Because this is the bottom line. So when you go back to this verse about the end of Jacob's blessing, when Isaac said, "All who curse you will be cursed, and all who bless you will be blessed." You are choosing your own road of blessing or cursing. It's your choice. It's up to you and those people around you. And so if you're enabling someone because they're always blaming you, this is inherent in our human nature. Back in the garden, when God came looking for Adam, he didn't come looking for Eve. He said, "Adam, where are you?" And Adam says, "Well, we're hiding because we're naked." And God says, "Well, who told you were naked? Did you eat from that tree that I told you not to eat of?" Adam goes, That woman that you gave me, she gave it to me. He blames Eve. Isha, she did it. I'm Ish and she's Isha. She did it. It's in our nature, especially guys, husbands, especially. I tend to blame my wife for every little thing, right? So we need to be cognizant of this, reminded of this. That's the wrong response, okay? God gave Adam a chance to fess up. He didn't. And now this is Esau's choice. Now the story goes on. I'm not going to finish the story today. The story goes on, and Esau and Jacob finally meet up. But by that time, just as Isaac told him, if you curse him, you will be cursed. If you bless him, you'll be blessed. Now, this is true of God in our lives today. Who is the blessed one now? That if you bless, you'll be blessed, and if you curse, you'll be. That's the Lord Jesus Christ. That's the bottom line. He's the blessed one. And some people, when you take the Lord's name in vain, or when you blame God for your circumstances, it's always somebody else's fault. You're going to have a bad 2021. I can guarantee it. But on the other hand, if you want to bless people and you bless God and you are thankful to God for your circumstances right now that weren't even fair to you, you have to be able to see beyond that God knows all about it, that he is sovereign, he is over all. He's not just all-knowing, knows how many hairs on the head, on your head. He's not just all-powerful, can do anything. He's not everywhere, not just everywhere at the same time, but that he knows you personally, and he is actually for you, not against you, and that he is good. And even the bad things that are in your life now that were not even your fault. There are things that happen to people. Bad things happen in the world because we're sinners and we make bad choices. But, what about children of divorced parents? What children that have to see their parents go through horrible things and do horrible things to their kids? That's not their fault. But when you become an adult, you have got to be able to go beyond that and say, God is still sovereign, and I want to thank God for his kindness to me, his presence with me, his love for me. And when you begin to thank God and bless instead of curse, everything changes. I'm telling you, after 50 years of studying the Bible, reading the Bible, this is some of the highest level secrets, teachings, information you're ever going to hear. When you're thankful, even for your bad circumstances, when you're thankful, it changes everything. So that's the story. Let me read you one verse from Proverbs, that sums everything up in just one word, in a word. Chapter 15 and verse 15 of Proverbs says, for the despondent, for the depressed, for the victim in your family, for the victim in your life, for the despondent, every day brings trouble. Every day is a bad day for the victim. And for the happy at heart, those people that bless instead of curse, those people that are thankful to God, for the happy at heart, life is a continual feast, a continual party. What a difference, night and day. Here's the bottom line. Suffering is in this life because we are sinners and because this is a fallen world. Suffering is mandatory. Joy is optional. It's up to you. And that's all I'm going to say today. This is important. In the meantime, I want you to think about that. I want you to think about the people you're around and how negative they can be. And what can you say to people that help victims? It's always their fault, husbands or wives, and they need to get out of that and let victims face their own circumstances someday, somehow, and face God and answer this question. Am I going to be thankful, or am I going to be bitter and resentful and cursed for the rest of my life? Or am I going to be thankful and change everything? That's the question. So God bless you. I pray that this would mean something to you and maybe others around you, be effective and helpful for the rest of 2021. I'm praying and hoping that it will be the best year that you've ever had. So in the meantime, may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.